first two that I'm making with the micarta scales, I've actually decided to go for orange liners. You can't really see how bright these are in the camera, but I've gone with the high impact plastic, and I thought that because I'm intending to use orange kydex for the sheath. There's the orange kydex for the sheath, and believe it or not, these are about the same. Well, they are the same colour, although in this on the camera it doesn't look very bright, but they are pretty bright. They're blaze orange. So I shall get on with. I'll cut the other two scales. These are for these two knives, and then get sticking the lines to the scales. Okay, so got both pairs of scales, so all four scales, all four liners, and what I've done to prepare these is just lightly sand the surfaces, both sides of the liners, because one side's going to get stuck to the blade eventually, and one side, and I've also sanded one side of the scales as well, so that they'll stick on or provide better stick. Once they're lightly sanded, you wash them off with acetone, which is basically a fancy name for the chemical, or the main chemical that's in nail varnish remover. So, and this stuff's about £1 for a bottle from chemists, so that's fine. And what I'm going to use to stick these together, because they're both man-made products like plastic and fiberglass resin and cotton with these ones, is I'm going to use some soft plastic glue, because the liners are quite flexible, as you can see. So I'm going to need to use a special plastic glue. I mean, super glue works on certain liners, but there's various different types of liner material and handle material, so you really need to get the right glue for the material you're using. So with this, I'm just using some soft plastic glue. Okay, once you've applied the glue to both of the surfaces you're going to stick together, you've got to wait for them to go tacky for a little bit, and with this one it's 3 minutes, I believe. Yep, 3 minutes for that one, or approximately 3 minutes, so which gives us enough time to set up our clamping devices. Now with this one, I'm just going to use a piece of wood to the bottom, which will take two of the liners on it. And I'll need two pieces to clamp the top down. And the reason why I'm using two separate pieces is because I can, if the thicknesses are slightly out, then I can compress one parallel. I'll just move the camera so you can see what I'm doing there. And these have had about 3 minutes now, so I'm going to start assembling them. Just make sure you get out any air bubbles that are trapped in between. Then layer that across just to stop two sets of scales sticking to each other once they're in. Get the clamps. So this glue takes quite a while to set, so there's no enormous rush in getting these clamped up before the glue goes off. And these are quite small scales, so I can probably get away with just using one clamp on each pair. Now, before I tighten them completely, check to make sure all of the liners and the scales are still lined up where they should be. Yep. And what will actually make it a little bit easier is to use some quick clamps just to stop the pieces of wood rotating or swiveling as I tighten down the main clamps. I want a fair bit of pressure on those just to make sure that they're as flat as possible. Take those off now. Now the liners have dried and they're stuck to the scales. What I'm doing is you lay the blade, the blank, on top of the liner and drill through the holes so that they line up. And for this one, what I've done is got two pieces of wood and basically sandwiched it between them as I screwed it together to hold them in one piece to stop them sliding around when the drill bit bites. Okay, so over to the pillar drill. And hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. There we go. Right, now all the holes are drilled, what I need to do is mark where the top part of the handle will finish. Just try and find some more way to show you. Try and what's the easiest way. Right, this is what I mean. This part here, because once the handles are on the blade, you can't sand that because you'll damage the blade itself. You can't level these off, so I've got to mark where they're going to come, and in this case they're going to be a sort of a semicircle round here. So I've got to mark on one of these, cut it roughly to where it is, then attach these two together with the pins through them, cut the other one roughly like it, and finish them off. Okay, if that makes sense. I'll once I've done that, I'll show you what I meant I was going to do. Okay, hopefully you should be able to see the line I'm going to cut. There you go. That semicircle around there. I'm going to cut that using a little well, a fret saw I call it, but I suppose a coping saw is the proper name for it. Just a handheld one. And I'm going to cut that round, and then I'm going to transfer the same shape onto the other half of the scales, and then run the sander over them to smooth them off and finish them off and put the right angles on and whatnot. Okay, now these have been shaped over right at the top there, so that they're level with each other. So is this one. Get the pin in just to hold it together. I'm not sure how well you can see that. And that's the edge that's going to be seen on the top edge of the handle towards where the bolster will be, or would be on another knife. There you go. And what I'm doing now is, obviously these back pins lanyard hole, so they're staying as tubes. And these are the pins that are going to be the solid pins I've filled with some super steel. It's very strong stuff, and it sets, well, it's grey, it's a grey mix and it sets grey, which will go with the grey Mikata style. So okay, now it's time to mix up some of this epoxy again, which is the super steel stuff I'm using. Spread a light even layer, only a thin layer it needs to be, over the face of the scales, or the liners on the scales, and then line them up with the holes as much as you can. Drive the pins through, clamp the two together. Sorry, drive the pins through and clamp the two together, and then just let that dry and set, cure hard, and then I can get on to shaping the handle a bit more, which will probably be just cutting off the excess with a coping saw and then finishing it off with a belt sander. I'll mix that up and get on with that. And there we go. Just wait for those to dry. You may have noticed that I've covered the blades up. It's always best to move this so you can see. I've covered the blades up with duct tape. This is to protect the blade and stop it getting epoxy on it or getting scratched when I'm machining the scales, and also to protect my fingers as well, because they're quite sharp at the moment, so it's always best to be safer than sorry. Okay, and next, once that's all set, it's onto shaping the scales. Okay, now these have dried, the epoxy is set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sand down the pins so they're level on both sides, and that way I can clamp it in my vise when I trim the edges up, the excess stuff, with the coping saw. Okay. Okay, and there you go, the finished product. It needs a bit of polish still on the spine and whatnot, and on the blade needs stropping, sharpening, or final sharpening. But there you go, that's the finished knife. And the next video I shall make is the sheath making video, but that might not come straight away after this one. That might be a week or so down the line. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.